Okay, everyone, I just wanted to uh, create kind of a couple quick little videos that might be some helpful guides, especially as we kind of wrap up things. So, the first one I would like to do is kind of show a really fast process for creating kind of a custom model to animate. So, I do recommend having your own model to animate just because if you're downloading a model that somebody has ripped from a game, first of all, there's some legal issues with that. Second of all, if you're downloading a model that maybe is free online, again, if it's not open source, you have to read the Creative Commons use licenses and all that other stuff. And then also, finally, somebody is, if there's a model that's kind of common, then people uh, it may not be as impactful if people see your animations using something somebody else has done. So because of that, I do recommend going with a custom model. There are so many different ways to do custom models. There is the Autodesk Character Creator. You could use Fuse on Steam. It's one of my absolutely favorite tools to play with for making custom characters. You could model your own character if you're bringing it from 3ds Max, 3D graphics or something. Or you can do kind of AI. I know AI tools are a little bit kind of in flux on what the right process is, but again, for our purposes, I think it's going to work out really well. So I'm going to say fantasy orc character stylized 3D render front view T pose white background, no accessories. Sorry, I'm not very good at not good at spelling. We'll have to fix it for us. So we'll see fantasy or stylized 3D render. No accessories. Maybe that's pretty good. Front T pose, white background. Let's give it a go. So I think it's create images. All right. Okay, we'll copy that. Looks like maybe I need a refresh. Thinks it's answering some question that I accidentally clicked on it a minute ago. So create images and paste. So I'm just inside of Gemini here. This is not a paid for account. You can see it says upgrade. It does give you some Nano Banana Pro free generations. They usually work a little better than the older Nano Banana, but Nano Banana itself is pretty good too. You can also take like pictures of Photoshop and collage them together real quick and then have it kind of create something, etc. Here, this is a pretty good character. This is an A pose, not T pose. It's pretty good though. Can you remove the loincloths with the cloth hanging down? Don't quite rig very well, so and sometimes I would say this tool does really great first generation, but then when you're trying to edit it, it can have trouble. So, just keep that in mind. If this doesn't work out, we'll just go with that other one. Again, for our example, it'll be good enough. But you can see it's pretty fast. The character turned out pretty good. That's actually a really nice fantasy orc model there. Let's see if it can make those edits. Again, I don't really want this hanging cloth. Ooh, that's pretty good, but he's a little racy. Can we add some leather shorts and move his arms in T pose? Again, you can see here it's having trouble. A pose will probably be fine. The truth is, whether or not you make a character in A pose or T pose is kind of stylistically up to the artist or the generator. Mixamo, which we're going to use to rig this character, does work in A pose as well. So if it doesn't work, if it is giving us trouble, well, at least he's got shorts on. You can see already it's saying you reached your limit. Part of me likes the one without the shorts better because of these fringe things, but for modesty's sake, maybe we'll just use this one. Okay, or maybe we can download this guy too and switch over from thinking to fast, which means it'll still work for us. And maybe we can just have it upload some clothes on this guy. Oh, he's the one with shorts. All right. Alrighty, this video is a little more involved than I thought, although that's a really nice generation. I like that guy. We're going to paste him in there. Can you add some leather underwear and a basic cloth skin fitting shirt? Again, I would say the hardest part about doing AI generative assets is trying to get it right. My advice to anybody using AI is using it as part of the workflow rather than replacing the workflow is really the right choice. And this is kind of the example. Anybody who's actually used AI, you know, if you just wanted to generate a picture of anything, you're pretty good. That'll be fine. Let's, can you make him wearing a white dress shirt and khaki slacks? Why not? White dress shirt and red tie and khaki slacks. Let's give it a go. I'm curious. Okay, so this is just using Google Gemini to create it. Once I have the image I want, I'm going to use this, which is probably the best 3D generator tool on the market. Now, this 3D Studio I have not used. They're advertising this. It looks like it's brand new. I applied for the beta. You can already see, look at the geometry on this one. Holy cow. Like, man, 3D generation is getting really good. Hey, this guy looks perfect. Look at that. That is exactly what I asked for. So it can handle that fine. Can't get the T-pose right, but that's all right. It's a good thing Mixamo handles A-pose. But what you can see here is I can upload this image here to this editor. Again, I really like this one a lot. They give you 20 free credits a day, which means you can make 20, not credits, really, they're 20 generations. So you can make 20 models a day. And again, you have to, I'm using the Chinese version, so it has to, I'm using my web browser, you can see right here, to auto-translate it. But it just works. This takes sometimes about 3 minutes to generate. Once it generates the model, it actually will even create a texture for it, which is pretty nice. The UVW map is horrible, and the model itself is not great. Geometry-wise, it tends to be kind of triangular. I think it's using kind of a Gaussian splat technique to generate the model. So the edge flow is terrible. The geometry is kind of rough. You can see in that example in the 3D Studio, the next version of this is probably going to fix all of that. And for those of you that are wanting to use or interested in how AI might impact the art development pipeline for assets, that's a big deal. So right now, the ugly geometry makes this work great as a tool, but not, ideally perfect as a replacement. Once they fix that geometry element, stuff's going to get pretty exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and just maybe pause the video here while this thing, just unpause this. You can see here now it's generated the model. Look at that model. It looks really nice. This thing is very impressive. So there are lots of other AI generative 3D modeling tools out there. Meshy AI is one I used to really show everyone. Luma Labs I show in 3D graphics and a couple other ones because it's right now completely free and doesn't require a lot of hoops to jump through. This one, I haven't really done a lot of text prompt to 3D modeling. I've used mostly images. I think that's where the real power of these kind of tools lies, because often I'm not wanting a model of anything. I'm wanting a model of something specific. And if you have Photoshop skills and different things, I could download this image I made in Gemini and Photoshop it. And so that's where I've really had a lot of fun meticulously crafting kind of these really great images that I'm going to load into this 3D editor to generate my assets. So again, it's still it doesn't replace that all of that like creative process, right? If you can create the 2D image, then you can basically create the 3D image. It's not perfect. Again, excuse me. I feel like all of these tools are a bit like D&D and a random number generator. If this thing doesn't look right, I can always try to generate it again. You can see this model turned out pretty nice. It's got the right number of fingers. It looks like more or less the toes, a little rough, but it looks good. The face definitely isn't as good as the original one, and sometimes this thing has a lot of trouble with eyes, again, for right now. So you can see it's got like maybe double pupils and stuff in there. It's not ideal. It's going to be good enough for what we're doing, but if I were to actually use this in a project, I would definitely at least bring this into something like ZBrush, or at least bring it into like Photoshop and kind of work with it a little more. But not too bad for 10 minutes of work, and that's kind of the big part that I want to show you guys. So I'm going to do object obj file and just click download. It's going to download a file with a real crazy numerical name. Now the other thing I want to show you is using only the web software. So I use Google to create my image. I use Tencent 3D generator to create my model, and I'm going to come over here to Mixamo, and I'm going to upload that character right in here. And notice I'm not even unzipping the file. I'm literally taking the exact file that it gave me and clicking upload. Thankfully, again, Mixamo handles A pose characters or T pose characters, so I won't need to worry about its body position. It'll still work. And again, if you've ever used Mixamo, this thing's pretty fun. I have found, because the geometry is a little bit funky right now, again, the model's looking really good. The number of polygons is pretty good, but the edge looping and stuff is rough still. Again, this next version, it looks like they're going to fix that. Sometimes there's some weird animation glitches and things. We can maybe figure that, or fix that in Max rather. So we'll go ahead and grab his chin, grab the wrists, grab the elbows, so grab the knees. There's something about an orc in like this substitute teacher outfit that I absolutely love. Again, you can tell whether you want a standard skeleton, no fingers, etc. We can try standard. Let's just give it a go. He's got all the right number of fingers. Again, it may look bad, so we might need to go back and choose maybe just 2 fingers. His thumb is nice and separate from his hand, so 2 fingers should animate pretty well. But we'll try 5 first. You know, this is us experimenting. It's us trying it out. What you can see here, though, is, again, these tools all work really well together. So I got Google Gemini generating my image, Tencent, Hunyan 3D generating the model, and then Mixamo rigging it for animation. And Mixamo, of course, has all of those great animations kind of built in. So this usually only takes about 2 minutes max. So again, it's a really rather fast process too. If you've never used Mixamo, it's really cool. It's been around for over a decade. It is free with an Adobe ID. You need an Adobe ID to sign up for it, but that's it. Okay. Yeah, you can see this weird stretching. This is what I'm talking about. Because the geometry is funky, this thing doesn't quite rig that great. But, you know, again, here we go. I've got this character we designed and kind of put together. All right, let's go ahead and pause that here, and then we'll keep going.